From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, August the 31st, 2020. We open with the historic flight today from Israel to the United Arab Emirates, following the Abraham Accord announced nearly 3 weeks ago of the normalization of ties between the two countries. The flight was the first of its kind made by Israel's national carrier El Al. On board, delegations from Israel and from the United States. Not only is the flight unprecedented, but so is the route. El Al Flight 971 flew through Saudi airspace, the first time an Israeli plane was given permission by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to use its airspace, making history and shortening travel time by almost 4 hours. The flight number 971, by the way, is the UAE's international calling code. The return flight to Tel Aviv tomorrow will be numbered 972, which is Israel's international calling code. The plane was also carrying a special message to the Arab world, one of peace. El Al painted the word for peace in Hebrew, English, and Arabic on the plane, which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu referred to when he spoke with El Al pilot Tal Becker upon its arrival. The Prime Minister told Becker, "I am watching you with great excitement, the landing of an Israeli plane in broad daylight in Abu Dhabi. Written on it is Shalom, Salam, peace. This," Netanyahu said, "is a start. You are about to open the door to a different kind of peace. Peace with investments, peace with tourism, peace with many fruits of peace that will be shared here with our two peoples and with all the peoples of the region." The Prime Minister added, "This is a gigantic historical blessing. This is an historic day." The Prime Minister said he believes the Arab peoples are capable of accepting the State of Israel as an existing fact and as a major partner. "I say to all those who stand on the other side of the door that is about to open, Salam alaikum, ahlan v'sahalan," which is Arabic for peace be upon you, hello, and welcome. And just ahead of the historic visit, the president of the UAE issued a decree Saturday abolishing a 48-year-old law boycotting Israel, which now opens the door for trade and financial agreements between the two countries. Upon arrival in Abu Dhabi, the leaders of the Israeli delegation and the American team shared their hopes for the talks with UAE leaders and for the future. Mayor Ben Shabbat spoke in Arabic, saying, "We are here to transform a vision into reality. There is no border," he said, "to the potential cooperation between us in innovation, in tourism, in agriculture, in aviation, in many other fields, part of making peace among all peoples in the region." Leader of the American delegation, Jared Kushner, spoke from the tarmac as well.
The Middle East is filled with brilliant, industrious, tolerant, and innovative people, and the future belongs to them. I ask everyone today to join us in celebrating this peace and to help us expand it throughout the region and the entire world.
Ben Shabbat and Kushner, as well as U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, sat down later today with UAE Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Anwar bin Mohammed Gargash for the historic talks. And later today, Prime Minister Netanyahu announced that a delegation from the UAE has now been officially invited to visit Israel. Netanyahu said, "We'll give them the same red carpet they gave us." Yesterday, Netanyahu welcomed Kushner and O'Brien to Jerusalem, praising the historic deal and subsequent steps forward, which he said would not be possible without, Netanyahu tweeted, "the tremendous support of our great and loyal friends from the United States of America." Later sharing on his Facebook page a photo of the Israeli flag being flown in Abu Dhabi, writing how exciting that was. The Prime Minister wrote, "Peace for peace, peace from strength." He also shared a video of children in the Emirates waving the Israeli flag to Israel's national anthem, Hatikva, the Hope. Looking now at some other news, the families of the 3 Israeli teenagers kidnapped and murdered by members of terror group Hamas in 2014 are suing the Gaza-based group. The families of Naftali Frankel, Gilad Shar, and Eyal Yifrach filed a claim at the Jerusalem District Court in an attempt, they said, to stop the Palestinian Authority from transferring funds to Hamas. The suit calls on Hamas to pay some $154 million in compensation. The family said if the prosecution has the power to deter, even slightly, these evil forces, it will be our reward. The families are being represented by Israel Law Center's Nitzana Darshan-Leitner, who called it a precedent-setting lawsuit. She said for the first time, funds from the Palestinian Authority will be confiscated for a terrorist attack carried out by Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority, she wrote, refuses to honor the foreclosure order and continues to fund Hamas despite the order, we will demand the amount of compensation from the tax money that the State of Israel transfers to the Palestinian Authority. Well, with the Jewish high holidays fast approaching, an initiative to allow all across Israel to blow or hear the shofar, the ram's horn, simultaneously on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. In particular, for those who cannot attend synagogue because of the coronavirus pandemic. The initiative was begun by Rabbi Yisrael Riani, founder of the Ben Noam organization. He told Yisrael Hayom that the most important thing in this initiative is what we lack most as a society, and that is unity. He said when all the people of Israel together hear the sounding of the shofar, they will all unite for one wondrous moment at the starting point of the year. I am sure, he said, that this will have a positive effect on the whole year and on society in Israel in general. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, August the 31st at 7 o'clock. It's The Wisdom of Dr. Ruth at 7:30. Yossi Klein Halevi talks about the state of Israel during COVID-19. At 8, decorated British soldier Colonel Richard Kemp assesses the global threats facing Israel and the West in a Miriam Institute conversation with co-founder and CEO Benjamin Anthony. At 9 tonight, Mark Golub sits down with co-creator and star of the hit Israeli series on Netflix, Fauda, Lior Raz, who discusses how the action series draws a sharp distinction between Palestinian violence and the Israeli response, while portraying the humanity of both societies. At 10, it's a look at the films of Mel Brooks. And coming up next, it's Good Week Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, August the 31st, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.